Have you ever wondered why some people stay calm while others get upset over little things? As we get older, things that used not to bother us much can start to feel heavier. A rude comment, advice we didn't ask for, or someone crossing a boundary can stick with us longer than before. Even if we don't show it on the outside, the stress builds up on the inside. But what if we could change that? Not by becoming cold or distant, but by growing wiser. This video will walk you through 8 powerful changes that can help you stay steady and peaceful, no matter what others say or do. These aren't clever comebacks or tricks. They're changes in the way you think, deep shifts that help you feel calm and in control. When you make these changes, people's words and actions don't bother you like they used to. These ideas come from real life, not just theory. They come from people who've lived long enough to understand that not every fight is worth fighting, and not every opinion matters. Most importantly, these changes remind you that you don't have to carry what doesn't belong to you. Stick around until the end, because the last few might help you feel a kind of freedom you didn't know you needed. Freedom from stress, guilt, and letting others control your emotions. Whether you're 60, 70, or 85, these lessons can help you feel clearer, lighter, and more at peace. Let's begin with one simple truth. Silence can be more powerful than words. As you age, you realize you don't have to reply to everything. You don't need to correct every comment or explain yourself to everyone. And you certainly don't need to waste energy on someone who's trying to stir up drama. Staying silent doesn't mean you don't care. It means you've grown. It shows that your peace matters more than proving your point. Some people won't understand you, no matter how you speak. Often, those who try to upset you are dealing with their pain. They're loud because they're not okay inside. They poke at others because they're unhappy with themselves. When you stay calm and silent, you're not being cold. You're protecting your peace. You're choosing not to be pulled into someone else's storm. Think of Paul, a 74-year-old man who used to get angry every time his brother-in-law made a sarcastic comment. Even small remarks would ruin his day. But after a while, he got tired of being upset. One day, he just nodded and went back to eating his meal. No anger, no comeback, just calm. And something amazing happened. He felt stronger, not weaker, stronger, because he didn't give that man control over his mood. That's when everything shifted. When you stop reacting, you get your energy back. People notice when someone who used to argue or defend themselves now stays calm. It sends a clear message. I'm not wasting my time on this anymore. And that's true. You've got better things to do. You've lived through enough to know when to speak up and when to let things go. So, next time someone tries to get a reaction out of you, take a deep breath. Look at them. Say nothing. Then, walk away knowing you just saved yourself hours of stress for a moment that didn't deserve it. Another important lesson is setting emotional boundaries without feeling guilty. As we grow older, we learn that saying no isn't rude, it's necessary. Walking away from someone doesn't mean you give up on them. It means you're finally putting yourself first. Many of us were raised to be helpful and kind, even if it wore us out. But there comes a point where you realize your emotional energy is precious, and not everyone deserves it. Emotional boundaries aren't just about telling others what you need. They're about knowing when you're feeling drained or disrespected and doing something about it. You can still be kind without saying yes to everything. You can care about people without letting them overwhelm you. Saying, "This doesn't work," for me, isn't selfish. It's healthy. Some people won't like it when you set limits. They may guilt you or say you've changed, but their reaction says more about them than it does about you. Look at Rose, 67. For years, she was the one everyone called in a crisis. She helped everyone, except herself. Then, her doctor warned her that her stress was hurting her health. That changed everything. She began setting limits, starting with one friend who always called to complain but never asked how Rose was doing. At first, Rose felt bad, but after a few weeks, she felt better. She was calmer, had more energy, and didn't feel so tense. She didn't stop caring. She just stopped giving more than she had to offer. And you don't have to wait for a health scare to do the same. You can start now. You have permission to take care of yourself. You've spent your life helping others. It's okay to help yourself too. your peace and energy matter. And when you protect those things, you become more available to the people who matter. You show up with love, not exhaustion. And that makes every connection better, especially the one you have with yourself. Now let's talk about the gift of tuning things out. As you get older, you begin to understand that you don't have to listen to everything. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Some people talk to hear themselves or to pull you into their problems. If you let all that in, you'll feel overwhelmed, not because you're weak, but because you're too open. Selective hearing is a form of self-care. It's not about being rude, it's about protecting your mind. When someone starts gossiping or complaining, you don't have to engage. You can listen without absorbing. You can stay present without getting pulled in, and you can walk away if the energy doesn't feel right. This works with your thoughts too. Sometimes your inner voice will bring up old regrets, doubts, or harsh words from the past. But you don't have to believe everything your mind says. A lot of those thoughts come from people you wouldn't even take advice from today. So why listen now? Walter, 79, used to get upset when people at the community center talked about politics. It would ruin his mood for hours. Then, one day, he made a choice. He decided not to join those talks. He'd hear it, smile, and think, "That's not mine to fix." Then, he'd go back to enjoying his coffee or taking a walk. And you know what? He felt lighter. He was not checked out, just focused on what mattered to him. That's the key. As you grow older, your attention becomes more valuable. Where you place decides how your day feels. So please don't waste it trying to change people or win every debate. Focus on what calms you, what brings you joy. Not everyone has earned the right to be in your head or your heart. The more you filter out what doesn't serve you, the more peace you'll feel. Let go of the noise. Tune in to what lifts you because you've earned that peace. And it's yours to keep. Just because someone says something doesn't mean you have to believe it or let it affect you. You get to choose what you let into your mind and heart. This kind of mental filter isn't just helpful, it's necessary. If you want a calmer, clearer, and less stressful life, learning to filter what you take in is key. Another important shift is letting go of the need to be liked by everyone. Many people carry this burden for years without even realizing it. We're taught from a young age to be agreeable and not cause trouble. We learn to please others, even when it hurts us. Over time, this turns into a habit. We keep trying to make everyone happy so we don't upset anyone, but eventually, you might wake up and realize you've spent too much time chasing approval from people who don't understand you. The truth is, not everyone will like you. And that's okay. Some people may dislike you for reasons that have nothing to do with you. Maybe you remind them of someone. Maybe your confidence makes them uncomfortable. Or perhaps they prefer people who are more like them. You don't have to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Letting go of needing to be liked doesn't mean you become cold or mean. It means you choose honesty over pretending. You can be kind and respectful without being fake. The people who truly matter will like you for who you are, not because you tried hard to please them, but because you were real. Susan, who's 70, once told me a story. For years, she stayed quiet at family dinners when relatives said things that bothered her. She smiled and nodded to keep the peace, even though she felt uncomfortable. But one day, she realized she was tired of pretending. So, she stopped. When something bothered her, she calmly said so. Some people pulled away, but others appreciated her honesty. And most of all, she felt lighter. She wasn't performing anymore. There's a special kind of freedom that comes from no longer needing to be everyone's favorite. When you stop relying on others' approval to feel good about yourself, you take your power back. You stop letting their opinions control you. You've lived long enough to know your worth. And when someone walks away just because you stopped people pleasing, they were never really for you in the first place. If you're still watching and finding value in this, comment number 4 below. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss future videos. Your support helps us keep making content that informs and uplifts us. Now, let's move on to something else that makes a big difference. Learning to pause before reacting. This is one of the most powerful skills you can learn as you get older. That pause, that tiny space between what someone says and how you respond, is where peace lives. It gives you a chance to breathe, to think, and to choose how you want to respond instead of just reacting in the heat of the moment. Most regrets in life don't come from what we feel. They come from what we said or did before we gave ourselves time to think. That's why older people often seem calm. It's not because they don't feel things. It's because they've learned what's worth reacting to and what isn't. Taking a pause gives you back control. It tells your brain, let's think first. You can still be firm, you can still walk away, but you'll do it with clarity, not anger. There's a man named Jim, age 82, who used to get upset about everything. Politics, noisy, neighbors, the news. But after some health scares, he made a decision. He gave himself a rule. Always wait 5 seconds before responding to anything upsetting. Sometimes he used those seconds to breathe, pray, or say nothing at all. And those few seconds made a huge difference. They gave him space to choose peace over stress. Try it the next time someone cuts you off in traffic or says something rude. That short pause could be the difference between starting a fight and keeping your peace. You've got nothing to prove. And sometimes silence speaks louder than any comeback. Number 6 is about understanding that most things people say or do aren't really about you. When someone is rude or lashes out, it's usually because of something going on inside of them. People carry their pain and worries, and they often bring that into their interactions with others. We make things worse when we take it personally. If someone is cold or distant, we immediately wonder what we did wrong. But with time, you start to see the truth. Hurt people often pass their pain on to others. It's not about you. When you remind yourself of this, it helps you stay calm. You stop absorbing their bad mood. You stop taking on their stress, and that protects your peace. Let me tell you about Ruth, 76. Her neighbor was always short and unfriendly. Ruth thought she had done something wrong. She started avoiding her porch and keeping her distance. But one day, they crossed paths at the mailbox. Ruth smiled, and the neighbor quietly said, "My husband's in hospice. I'm barely sleeping." Suddenly, everything made sense. It had nothing to do with Ruth and everything to do with grief. This doesn't mean you excuse bad behavior. You can still set boundaries. But when you understand that people are often acting from pain, you stop carrying their emotional baggage. You stand in your calm and offer kindness when you can. If not, you step away. Their storm doesn't have to become your storm. If this speaks to you, comment number 6 below. And if you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, number 7, drawing strength from everything you've already been through. As life goes on, we sometimes forget how much we've already survived. Loss, pain, betrayal, health problems, they stack up. And we carry that weight without always realizing what it means. But that weight, it's not just heaviness, it's proof. Proof that you made it through hard things. Things that would have crushed a younger version of yourself. You've already faced storms others haven't even seen yet. So when someone tries to bring you down with criticism or bad energy, you can respond with quiet confidence. I've been through worse. That's not arrogance. That's clarity. I once sat with Leonard, 80, on a park bench. He said something I'll never forget. At this age, I measure problems against my past. If it's not bigger than burying my wife, losing my job, or beating cancer, then it's not worth my time. That kind of wisdom comes from living it. You earn that perspective. So next time someone's opinion or attitude starts to bother you, ask yourself, compared to what I've already been through, is this really worth my energy? Most of the time the answer is no. You didn't come this far to chase approval from people who haven't walked in your shoes. You've earned your peace. Stand on your past. Don't hide it. Let your experience be your strength. Number 8 is about using your energy wisely. By the time you reach your later years, you learn something important. Not everyone deserves your time, and even fewer deserve your emotional energy. You start to see which relationships leave you feeling drained and which ones fill you up. Which people lift your spirit, and which leave you feeling unsure, judged, or small? Once you notice that, things start to change. Protecting your peace doesn't mean cutting everyone off. It means being more careful about who gets access to your emotions, your attention, and your time. You can still be kind and polite, but you don't have to invite their drama into your life. Think of your energy as a limited resource. Every phone call, every visit, every chat, it either gives you something or takes something from you. You get to decide where it goes. I know a man named Charles, 73, who used to meet with old work friends every Sunday. But all they did was complain about their wives, the news, their health. Every time Charles came home, he felt worse. One day, he skipped the meetup. He gardened instead. Then he had lunch with his niece. I took a walk with a neighbor. After a month, he told me, "I feel more alive." He hadn't realized how drained he was until he wasn't anymore. That's what happens when you stop giving your time to people who drain. You and give it to those who lift you. No big announcement is needed. Quietly shift. Spend time with people who make you feel seen, heard, and valued. You deserve that. Your time is precious. Could you share it with those who respect it? Let the rest fade into the background. As we wrap up, take a deep breath and reflect. You've just heard 8 powerful truths about staying unbothered as you get older. This isn't about ignoring the world. It's about respecting yourself. It's about knowing that peace is worth protecting, that you don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing your well-being. From setting healthy boundaries to letting go of old habits, these lessons help you guard the life you've worked so hard to build. You didn't come this far to be tied up in other people's stress. You came this far for peace, clarity, and freedom. What stood out most to you today? Was there something that hit home? It could be about being honest instead of pleasing people. Or maybe it was remembering how strong you already are. Whatever it was, hold on to it. Let it make a quiet shift in your day-to-day life. Thank you for spending this time with us. We'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share one thing you're taking away from this video. Your voice matters. If you found this helpful, like, subscribe, and share. We're grateful for your support, and we can't wait to see you in the next video.